What up, Doe?
I'm Jalen Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together with Jalen Jacoby, what is it that we do?
We get the people what they want.
Huge weekend in sports, and we start with the last game that was played in the NFL on Sunday between the Texans and the Patriots. The Texans gave the Patriots all they could handle on Sunday Night Football. My guy, Deshaun Watson, had 4 touchdowns in the game against the Pats, one of which came from DeAndre Hopkins, a little pitch play. Jalen, did this performance from the Texans convince you that they're one of the top teams in the AFC?
Yes, they absolutely are. And we did tiers earlier in the year, and we talked about 4 teams that we felt like that were really legit in the AFC. And the Texans fall into that category even without J.J. Watt. And that pass we just showed that he threw to Kenny Stills, that was just nasty.
After one just got taken back too.
He's playing at a level when you start talking about the top quarterbacks in the league that are having amazing seasons. He belongs in that conversation. Deshaun Watson has been that special.
So a couple things. Number one, what I took away from this game more than the Texans being good was just how disjointed the Patriots offense looked. Like, this has been an ongoing thing that's been bubbling throughout the season. The defense carried them to a lot of wins in some of their easier scheduled games, but when they came up against the Texans, Tom Brady just looked like out of sorts. He looked upset. It looked like him and his receivers were not on the same page. He's pointing at my namesake Jacoby. He's like, Jacoby, go that way. Everybody saw it except for Jacoby. Right there. It's like, Jacoby, go that way. And then throws it to nobody. There was a lot of miscommunication and upset Tom Brady, frustrated on the sidelines. This is a 10-2 team, but it doesn't feel like it right now at this point in the season. Is that fair to say?
Well, because they have a different expectation. Usually when teams are 10-2, we laud the part of the ball that's playing really well and figure that can help carry them to Super Bowl glory. Well, since it's the Patriots and they've won so many Super Bowls, we try to pick apart and try to figure what they're not. And rightfully so. James White has been a workhorse out of the backfield, catching it down the field. But the thing that I'm still struggling to see is Sony Michel has not been effective running the football.
No.
They don't have a great offensive line. They don't have a balanced attack. They lean so much on Edelman, so much on James White. They don't have the speed on the outside. So it's not going to be a team that beats you in the ways that we're used to seeing them do it in the past.
You know, question I was asking myself, where's Mohamed Sanu? Where's Mohamed Sanu? Remember when they traded for him? Everyone's like, oh, look, now they got Mohamed Sanu. Exactly what they need. He's a vet. He's a route runner. He's big. This is going to be the perfect fit for this offense. What did he catch, like 2 balls yesterday?
And he's on my fantasy team.
I know, so you know.
I'm trying to tell you, Jacoby.
So you know.
As soon as he got with Tom Brady, I was like, yes.
Hasn't panned out.
Dropping balls.
So before the game, I want to show you the entrance made into the stadium by the Texans linebackers. Okay. Take a look here. So they dress up every game. This time it was the SWAT team. Soft move or boss move, dressing up like the SWAT team before the game.
How about this? You're at an ATM. You turn around and see those guys coming. You don't want those problems.
No.
So that's got to be a boss move.
It's always a boss move until you get blown out. Like, I'm sure they dressed up before that Ravens game when they got blown out. Don't forget, they did get blown out by the Ravens.
They did.
But we weren't talking about what they dressed as in that game.
They did.
But they weren't talking about that. Well, that was the latest game on Sunday, but the biggest game was between the Ravens and the 49ers. All football fans had this one circled. Everyone had this one circled. It did not disappoint. In a back-and-forth game between the 49ers and the Ravens, Lamar Jackson did his thing. Beautiful pass to tight end there in the rain. And then we have this. Make it look easy. Just makes it look easy. I'm going to walk into the end zone untouched. And, of course, at the end of the game, it all comes down to a kick. Tucker, money, right down the middle. Big trust. Are you convinced, like I am, that the Ravens are the best team in the NFL right now?
I am convinced of that right now. But as I've been saying all year, for those of us who have seen football change over decades, it's refreshing to watch a team that does so many things that are different in the landscape of the game. Let me tell you a couple of them. One, they play 4 downs of football. You remember the time it was you played 3 downs and you just punt on 4th down?
4th and inches, let's punt.
They going for all of those.
Yes, yeah.
They going for all of those. They're using 4 downs to get 10 yards when usually teams use 3 downs
They had a 4th and 5, and Lamar Jackson didn't even look at the sideline. He didn't even look at the sideline. He was like, well, we're going.
That's one. The other thing, multiple linemen that they use. They got a 300-pound fullback. 300-pound fullback that they use. Okay.
3 tight ends.
And how about Lamar when he gets in the open field? You see him break that dude's ankle? Like, he almost literally tore his ACL, the D-back. And so I just enjoy, and that's almost impossible to do in today's landscape.
And it's not gimmicky. It's not like the Wildcat or something. It's not gimmicky because they can do a lot of different things. If they want, they can beat you deep. The conditions weren't really good for that yesterday. But also, they can run the ball. They can throw the ball. The quarterback can run the ball. There's so many times on quarterback keepers where it's like, the tailback turns into a lead blocker. It's not some RPO type of thing. It's just like, I'm running the ball. It's a design run for me. And there are more blockers than on any other play for any other team.
And they're physical.
Yes.
On both sides. And usually all of this is happening within the numbers. They're not. The only time they're on the outside is when Lamar's one-on-one against a linebacker or against a D-back, usually. Or when Mark Ingram finds a way to break loose. So I just enjoy watching that team play. And to answer your question, yes, they're the best team in football today.
We've talked about 2 10-2 teams so far, the Patriots and the Ravens. And one, to me, is far superior to the other. Record's exactly the same, but the Ravens just seem like they're so much better put together for a playoff run than the Patriots right now.
But here's what I want to say about San Francisco. When I watched them play against the Ravens, 2 things came to mind that normally you don't see in a pass-happy NFL. The stats that I felt like that would decide the game. 1, time of possession. 2, rush yards. Of all things, not passing yards. That's just a fun. That was just a fun game to watch.
It really was. And I know you love the Harbaugh. I know you love both Harbaugh brothers. And John Harbaugh, he got mixed up a little bit with another guy that we love, Richard Sherman, back and forth in a big game.
Here, when it's that cold outside and it's raining and anybody touches you, you're going to take it some type of way. That's all. It didn't matter who it was. It could have been Sherman's teammate. He would have like, just get off me. And so I appreciate both of those gentlemen always being invested.
So you're talking about the tiers in the AFC. So far, we've discussed the Texans.
Check.
We've discussed the Ravens.
Check.
We've discussed the Patriots. You know who we don't really talk about that much anymore?
Where my homies?
Where my homies? The Chiefs. The Chiefs are being slept on. They didn't just beat division rival the Raiders. They absolutely waxed the Raiders. It was not even close to close. Mahomes is running around. He's scoring touchdown. He didn't have a huge day, but he didn't need to because their lead was so big. But are we sleeping on the Chiefs as a threat?
I don't think you can sleep on a Patrick Mahomes-led football team. It's just that he was injured early in the season. His ankle, then his knee. You're not seeing Tyreek Hill get the 50 to 75-yard bombs hitting his head on the goalpost. So they're doing it in a different way. But it was great to see the Honey Badger get a pick too.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that people are waiting to see from the Chiefs, can they get that run game in order? I've been talking about this all year.
They need to run it. They need to stop the run.
I've been talking about this all year. That, to me, can and or will be their Achilles heel if they don't find a level of balance with their offense.
It really is. Can they run the ball and can they stop the run? Those are the 2 things about the Chiefs. And you know, I was surprised by the way the Raiders played in this one.
Jacob still got 100 yards
I was
rushing.
surprised. Is he on your fantasy team too?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because usually when you have random stats like that, it's like fantasy related. Were you going against him?
I just be paying attention. Nah, Derek Carr had 2 picks. I always know the stats.
It is now time for Statue News. Jalen Rose.
Yes.
You are, if not one of the best sports analysts in the entire game.
Thank you, sir.
But you are definitively the best statue analyst. So now we welcome to the show senior statue analyst, not just of ESPN, but of the entire world, Jalen Anthony Rose.
Okay.
We have a statue that's gone up in Montgomery, Alabama. And that statue is of someone very important to the history of this country, Rosa Parks.
Wow.
Rosa Parks statue was unveiled in Montgomery, Alabama. There is Miss Parks in all her glory. Jalen Rose, senior statue analyst. What do you think about this statue?
I think that she's a legend. And though she was born in Alabama, she spent a large portion of her life in
Where?
Detroit, Michigan. And I need to get a replica of that in this studio. Just like I have that Jada Kiss bust. I'm going to start working on that because all of the sacrifices that she made, the level of sacrifice that she gave of herself to go from being somebody that could have been considered ostracized for a lot of the stance that she chose to take in a country that we were still trying to get past racial inequality and segregation. And so I would be remiss if I don't have a replica of that statue in this studio to pay homage.
That would be really nice, because then we could have a statue of a picture of Harriet Tubman, a statue of Rosa Parks, and Jadakiss. You know what I mean? There you go. Just 3 leaders right there.
Absolutely.
3 leaders. Jalen.
That statue looks awesome.
Luka Doncic did his thing against the Lakers. We will break it down right after this.
I need that.
Coming to you live from Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport District of Manhattan, and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, sometimes we rely on you and your experience in an NBA locker room to take us behind the curtain. Let's go. You said that James Harden could score 90 points this season.
And you know what's funny? People think I'm saying it because I want people to forget that Kobe scored 81
I said
on
that.
us.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
But that don't mean that didn't happen.
But look,
that's idiotic.
It almost came to fruition. James Harden had 60 points against the Hawks in just 31 minutes and did not play in the fourth quarter. So what I need you to do is this.
Okay.
Take us behind the curtain. If you're the coach, Mike D'Antoni, and you see that your player is 2 points away from his career high, but you have a commanding lead, do you put him back in the game just to let him cook a little bit more?
Not at all. Because if that guy gets injured, oh my goodness, you never be able to live it down. Especially they was up by 40.
It wasn't even close.
They was waxing the Hawks. So you don't put them back in the game.
That's so practical, Jalen.
That's so decided. And then here's the other thing. You don't want the other team to feel like that you're trying to run up the score, so to speak, because then you get guys wanting to try to hurt them and stuff like that. When you're coaching a great player like this, I'm telling you, it was similar to the year when Kobe went off. He had a game against the Mavs where he played 3 quarters. I think he scored like 65 on them or something like that. And that was the precursor to his big game.
Hold on.
When he erupted.
Hold on. Jalen, what happened to you? This sounds so logical, so practical, and so conservative. I thought you were going to go the other way on this one.
You did?
Yes. You're 2 points away from your career high. Coach, let me get 2 buckets. I'll be right back next to you in 3 possessions.
Let me tell you something. James Harden is league pass must-see TV. He's going for 90 every night. If you look down at the stat sheet, taking 23s, 20 free throws.
It's going to be hard to be in a close game if you score 60 through 3, though.
The night, I'm telling you, each night, when you look down at the stat sheet, and James Harden shooting over 50 from 3 and over 55 or 60 from the floor overall and getting to the line 15 or 20 times, do the math. That's where I came with the numbers from.
People always talk about him being inefficient, but he was 16 for 24 from the field, 66%.
Boom.
8 of 14 from 3. I have no idea what percent that is, but it's
That's
like
over
60.
50,
Yeah, it's like 60. And he was 20 from 23 from the free throw line. It's like he shoots this much every day. He just had to be hot today.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But
correct.
I just wish the game was closer. I want to see him get 70 or something. Moving on. Huge game yesterday in the National Basketball Association between the Mavs and the Los Angeles Lakers. It was close. LeBron and AD were doing their thing in the first half. Luka was real cold in the first half. But then the second half happened.
It did.
Luka turned it around and finished the game with a near triple-double. And more importantly, him and his Mavericks got the win. Jalen Rose, did this game convince you the Mavericks can test the top teams in the West?
Not test the top teams in the West consistently, but it shows me why Rick Carlisle is regarded as one of the top coaches in the league, and he's won the championship with the Mavs. Look deeper into the box score. DeLon Wright, 17 points, 9 dimes. Powell playing big minutes up front.
Love Powell.
Catching lobs. I'm not even talking about KP.
Yeah, he's been kind of quiet this whole
Tim
year.
Hardaway.
Low-key, Porzingis has been working his way back into the NBA.
Justin Jackson scoring in double figures. So when you get so many guys that can buy into a system and you have a great player, and I'm calling him that in Luka, special things can happen. But here's the thing that stood out to me. And this may, if there is going to be an Achilles heel for the Lakers, this might be it. They were outscored by 30 points from three-point range. The Mavs made 17. They made 7. The Lakers have to find more ways to knock down those open opportunities when they get them.
Well, the Lakers have had a bit of a cupcake schedule up to this point.
One of the easiest.
They had one of the easiest, and it's about to get tougher. They're about to go on this little road trip. You can take a look at it. It's not going to get easier as it goes by. Okay. So this is what they played so far.
Lost to the Pistons.
5th easiest in the league so far. And here's what they have ahead of them. It's about to get a little tricky for them because they have to go on the road and play some good teams. They play teams like the Nuggets, the Jazz, the Blazers, and then at home against the Timberwolves. Jalen, will these next 4 games really tell us who the Lakers are at this point in the season?
It's always tough playing at Denver with the altitude and the Joker's slowly starting to get his game together. Gary Harris had a big game the other day. Utah has not been playing the way I expected them to play this season. A little disappointed in their start, but they're always terrific at home. I think Minnesota was one of those teams that they played. Karl Anthony Towns has been balling this year. And Hassan Whiteside for the Blazers just had double-digit blocks.
Yep.
And Carmelo Anthony giving them good minutes. So that won't be a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination, but on the road, you got to be able to make open jump shots, in particular from 3. They struggled at home doing it. They're not able to do it in those 4 games. They could easily go 1-3.
Jalen, you just talked about the Jazz. They're a pretty good team, right? You know, they seem to be one of the top teams in the West. Well, the Raptors sent a statement to the league. The Raptors demand your attention. The national media hasn't quite caught up to this yet, but the Toronto Raptors demand your attention. They took that Jazz team on, and 130 to 110 does not express just how lopsided this particular game was. And of course, that man, Spicy P, led the way, and Fred VanVleet did as well. What do you think about this Raptors team? When are they going to finally get the national recognition they deserve?
Well, people that follow this program understand that they do. You have a Spicy P hot sauce on your desk currently.
I just threw it away today. It got a little old. Got a little old.
That was my choice for most improved player at the beginning of the year last season. He was also a reason that I felt like they would win a championship against a hobbled Golden State Warriors squad. But here's something I want to throw out there. When you watch the landscape of the Eastern Conference, Pascal Siakam has been the 2nd best player in the conference. Talk to me.
Obviously, the Greek Freak, Embiid and Simmons come to mind. But I think that's a no-brainer. You know, here's another thing: we talk about the Eastern Conference. You know what we talk about so much? The Celtics and the Sixers. The Celtics and the Sixers. Well, guess who's got a better record than the Celtics and the Sixers? Guess who's got a better record? Who's got more wins and less losses than the Celtics and the Sixers?
Nick Nurse is doing a terrific job with that team. Just think about this. They lost Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. What did they get in return for them?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay. Kyle Lowry is currently injured. And so they had 8 players in double figures. 8.
Wait, I forgot. How many did Joel Embiid score against them?
0.
Wait, 0 points?
Correct.
But he didn't play?
He played.
Oh, he played? Oh, interesting.
And I want to tell you a secret into a microphone.
Secret?
Those Toronto streets are undefeated. I know everybody that lives domestically laughs when teams go to Miami and give home court advantages when you go to LA and to New York. Trust me, I lived there.
Jalen, I'm going to tell you something.
I participated.
Trust me. Sometimes your best friends need to give you some hard news. If you never played in Toronto, you would have played for like 16 years instead of 13. Toronto took like 3 years off your career. They did. They took like 3 years off your career.
And I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it.
Well, we're talking about the best teams in the NBA, and you have to mention the Los Angeles Clippers when you do so, because the Clippers, when at full strength, are absolutely terrifying. In the latest game against the Wizards, sure it was the Wizards, but they got 34 from Kawhi and 31 from PG, and they have now won 8 of their last 9 games. Again, 8 of their last 9 games. Jalen Rose, what do you think about this red-hot Clipper team?
And also the most unique substitutions in the game, who both scored over 20 in Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. Here's the distinction that I want to give people, that the difference between the Lakers and the Clippers.
Okay, explain.
The Clippers, to me, are the best team defensively on the perimeter.
Absolutely.
The Lakers are the best defensive team on the interior based on their size and their bulk. That's why that's going to be a clash of styles if and when they face one another, not only in the regular season, but in the postseason. Doc Rivers has done a terrific job bringing this roster along that made the playoffs without the 2 guys that you just said scored 30, and one won Finals MVP and the other one was 3rd in the MVP race. So it was great to see Paul George back out there healthy, putting people on skates behind the back, doing layups. They scored 150 against the Wizards.
I mean, Bradley Beal, someone help him. If Bradley Beal's in your phone, send him a nice text. You know what I mean? Bradley, if you know Bradley Beal, just tell him that we care about him and we're reaching out to him. Jalen, the Eagles had an opportunity and did something unthinkable yesterday. Unthinkable. We'll tell you exactly what that is. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, those Cowboys lost on Thanksgiving to the Buffalo Bills. That opened up an opportunity for the Eagles to take a stronghold over the NFC East, the worst division in football. Did the Eagles fly against the Dolphins?
No.
They didn't just lose to the Dolphins. They kind of got waxed by the Dolphins. And I want to give a big up to my guy, Brian Flores, because he was just doing whatever it took. He was like, you know what? We'll do anything. We'll line up this. Look at this play. Look at this. God, it was so much fun. I just love the way Brian Flores said, you know what? We're not going to make the playoffs, but we're going to have some fun and we're going to try some things doing it. What did you think about this performance from the Dolphins and the opportunity squandered by the Eagles?
Yo, seriously, when the punter's flipping to the kicker and scoring a touchdown on you, that ain't good.
No, it's not good.
And I'm not talking about record-wise. I'm not talking about whether they win a division or not. You can back into a playoff spot in that division. But it just shows you that whatever their goals were this year, this football team will not be able to achieve them. Because the Miami Dolphins, and I agree with you, I want to give them a lot of credit by the way they played, and Ryan Fitzpatrick was making plays, and Parker was making plays.
Great.
You want to always give credit to the team that wins. But the Eagles were up 14 in the third quarter. That was your chance to put this game away. When you allow the Dolphins to get back into the game and take control of the game and win and overall score 37 points, that doesn't bode well for the rest of the season.
I did watch this game, and I was just like, oh, the Eagles got this. I'm going to stop paying attention to this game. And then I was looking at the scores. I'm like, wait a second, what? Like, it's one thing to lose, but it's nothing to lose like that, to just kind of like squander it the way that they did. It kind of felt like they didn't respect the Dolphins. And now they're sitting there letting the Cowboys get into the playoffs, Jalen. I really want the Cowboys to miss the playoffs. I really do.
Well, the Dolphins don't won 3 out of 5, so you ought to give them some credit. But this is where you're going to see people complaining about the fact that a division winner gets to host a playoff game.
Oh, I'm going to complain about that. I'm complaining about that right now. The Dolphins, nor the Eagles, nor the Washington team deserves to host the playoff game. That should not happen. That should not happen.
What about the Cowboys? Or the Eagles, because one of them will.
No, they should not. I messed up. I meant the Cowboys, the Eagles, or the Washington team, obviously. Jalen, another team that might make the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Quack, quack, duck, Hodges led the Steelers to a 20-13 win against who? The Cleveland Browns. The Browns had a chance to tie or maybe win the game. Squandered that. You know, this is Baker Mayfield. They got the ball back via interception. That didn't work, but Mayfield did play okay. But Jalen, here's my question. Is this the week where finally we get what I've wanted? Can we finally stop talking about the Browns?
No.
Can we finally stop talking about the Cleveland Browns?
No.
I'm so done talking about the Browns.
No.
They're not a good football team.
No.
Maybe they'll improve next year. Maybe they'll turn it around, but they're not making the playoffs. So can we just like treat them like all the other teams in the league, like the Cardinals that aren't making the playoffs?
When I was watching this game, and not to get too philosophical, this game reminded me of why I wanted all young people to play sports at one point of their lives. Because sports teaches you different life skills that sometimes you don't get. Sacrifice, discipline, how to deal with adversity, how to deal with success, how to deal with failure. And these two teams embodied that for me. You know why? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers, blue collar, third string quarterback, backup running back. All they do is put their heads down, even though Pouncey's suspended. We're going to rock the black hoodie. We're going to represent for our brother. We're going to go out and punch them in the mouth and beat them. Mike Tomlin in the offseason. Remember when they added Odell? He was like, no big deal. So now let's flip it. White collar Cleveland Browns is why we're going to be talking about them. Baker Mayfield.
Star power.
Baker Mayfield he went number 1, but is he a star?
Is he a star?
You said it.
He had like 4 good games last year.
I'm just saying. Okay, we know Odell Beckham is a star, but here's the true issue to their team. Freddie Kitchens is one of the problems, but the true problem, I've been saying it all season, if you're going to elevate the Cleveland Browns based on the acquisitions this offseason, I need to see Baker Mayfield elevate his play. And that has not happened. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league this season. They got weapons. They got Chubb. They got Hunt. They got OBJ. They got Landry. I could throw to those dudes.
No, you couldn't, Jalen Rose.
I could throw to those dudes.
No, you couldn't.
All right, LeBron could throw to those dudes.
LeBron could throw to those dudes. That's what they should do. They need LeBron. They need LeBron. That's what they need. They need LeBron. Then they really have some star power that actually produces. Do you remember last week on Monday Night Football, the Rams lost to the Ravens 45-6? Do you remember that? I was talking about Blake Bortles replacing Jared Goff. You know, I had written off the Rams, but do you know what they did this week? They waxed the Cardinals, and they look good doing it. Jalen.
Yep. Is
it time to start thinking of the Rams as a threat in the NFC?
Nah.
They won the NFC last year.
Nah. It's like a team to have a Super Bowl hangover.
They could make the playoffs.
But I want to give Jared Goff a lot of credit because those are gaudy numbers that he put up. Todd Gurley got close to 100 yards. But I just don't see a team that has struggled so mightily when the lights were the brightest at points of this season, now all of a sudden elevating themselves to contention status in their own conference.
Let me make a case.
Okay.
Defense played really well.
They got Aaron Donald.
Defense played really well.
They got Jalen Ramsey.
They've got some players there. Like I feel like we've seen it happen before where wild card teams make a run. We've seen it happen before. I could see it happen with these Rams. I could see it happen. I still believe in you, Rams. I know no one else does. I still believe in you, Los Angeles Rams. Okay. It's hard to beat the Ravens.
Well, Woods was out there balling.
We'll see. I still believe in you, Rams. Jalen, I'm very excited about this one. It's time for a very special soft move or boss move. You and I are both married in very serious committed relationships, but we have friends. And the way that you meet people nowadays is dating apps, right? And there's always seems to be a new one. There's always a new dating app. And there's a new dating app now called The Singularity. And each dating app always has a twist. So this one was developed by a gentleman by the name of Aaron Smith. The twist on this dating app is the only male allowed on the dating app is the person that developed it, Aaron Smith. Soft move or boss move? Developing a dating app where you're the only male on the dating app.
Soft move.
Oh, come on.
That's a soft
move.
Oh,
come on.
Because it's one thing for you to try to find ways to meet people and hook up or whatnot. That's cool. But if you're creating an app, you got to let other people participate. It can't all be about you.
So let me tell you why this is a boss move. This guy's got a YouTube channel. This is obviously some sort of like publicity stunt, and he's pretty good looking. I didn't know who Aaron Smith was before, but now I do. And I feel like the press that he's gonna get from this are gonna have a lot of ladies around the country signing up for the Singularity. This is gonna work out great for him.
No,
he's gonna be he's gonna be the busiest man in America off of this dating app.
You know,
shout out to Aaron Smith.
You know how much you know how much I love originality. I will change something I'm doing if somebody copies it so very well. All this is The Bachelor in reverse. This ain't new.
Reverse?
Yeah. Ain't it one bachelor and 35 women?
Yeah.
Okay, it's one him and a million women online.
Yeah, it sounds great.
It's the same thing.
Sounds great. Boss move.
No, soft move.
Boss move. Another thing is this is Jalen. It's the effort he put into this. Like to code. I don't know how to code anything.
No effort.
To make an app. Yo, Doug, you make an app. You design an app. Go ahead. Design an app. Learn how to code an app. I don't even know how to do that. I don't even know where you start doing that.
I'm not great with my hands.
You spent a lot of times on this.
I'm not great with my hands.
I want to see you code something. Code anything. Anything in the world. Jalen.
We just gave him some free press.
Hold on a second. Did Michigan men's basketball play over the weekend?
They did.
Did they play games?
They did.
Did they win those games?
They did.
Are we going to celebrate that right after the break?
Absolutely.
Stay tuned. Thank you so much for tuning in to Jalen Jacoby on television, but the experience does not stop there. Make sure you subscribe and download to our podcast, rate and review it anywhere you listen to podcasts, and follow us on social, especially Jalen. He goes live on IG all day long, giving you exclusive content. Make sure you should tell a friend to subscribe to our podcast. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, so much happened over the weekend in sports that we can't get to it all, so we have a segment tailor-made for you, my friend, called Keep It Moving.
Keep it moving, you know we keep it moving.
In the minivan of Keep It Moving, are you ready, Mr. Rose?
Let's get it.
Auburn won a classic Iron Bowl against Alabama. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Are we gonna hit the brakes on this? What a game it was. The Tigers beat the Tide 48-45 in a back-and-forth classic. Nick Saban was a little upset about the officiating. some clockwork at the end of the first half, and a too many men on the field call that cost him ultimately the game. Do you think he's justified in his criticism of the officials?
So a couple of things happened that really surprised me watching Alabama in both of their losses. First off, giving up way too many points. I'm not used to seeing that. The other thing, so many penalties against Auburn. And lastly, can we say Gus Malzahn and the Auburn coaching staff outcoached Nick Saban?
Yeah, we can say that.
That 4th and 1, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. Don't be upset at the refs. Don't be upset at your team. They got you on that one. And that's a rival, and you just got to own it. He's still a GOAT, but Auburn gets the credit.
I remember watching the end of the half, and I was like, this seems to be an interesting piece of clockwork from the home clock manager there, but whatever. Jalen Rose, that was also another big game on Saturday. It was an earlier game. It was in what they call the Big House.
Hit the brakes.
Michigan and Ohio
I ain't
State.
running. Hit the brakes. Hit the brakes.
You didn't just lose,
Hit
though.
the brakes.
Y'all didn't just lose,
Hit
though.
the brakes.
Jalen,
What
happened to your Wolverines?
So let me just acknowledge something, and I'm going to be 1,000.
Uh-oh.
Usually when you play against your rival, they're not one of the teams that has helped transcend collegiate football over the past 15 years. Think about these names. Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Dabo Swinney have all been in the conversation yearly of who has the best football team in the country.
Okay. None of those people were involved in the game on Saturday.
So I want to make sure I give credit to the Ohio State University and put some respect on their name for waxing us.
J.K. Dobbins is still running around that stadium right now. He's still running around that stadium untouched.
Well, correct. He had 4 touchdowns.
Yes.
The quarterback threw for 4 touchdowns. He got injured, came back in with a knee brace, and threw a sweet touchdown if you're a Buckeye fan.
Football team lost, but the basketball team played some games over the weekend. Keep it moving or hit the brakes on that.
Hit the brakes.
We'll hit the brakes on this one because not only did Michigan defeat Gonzaga, before that, they beat UNC.
Big Noop.
Who is the coach of the Michigan Wolverines basketball team?
The guy with this bobblehead right here, Juwan Howard. The thing I appreciate is when you take over for somebody that was as successful as John Beilein, everybody knows this could go a couple of different ways. You have a lot of the players that were holdovers from a coach who had a different style. And it probably everybody has a different way of communicating, how they want to go about doing things. So for him to hire the staff that he hired, had the level of autonomy to earn the respect of his team, get his team to play hard every day in practice, and then you go to that tournament, you were supposed to be an afterthought.
Yeah.
Okay, so the consolation game, Oregon and UNC on paper, that was supposed to be the championship game.
Yep.
Okay, so for you to go show up and be unranked and now deserve to be in the top 10, and it doesn't get any easier because they play Louisville as well. So I appreciate the experience that the team is getting very early, and I'm proud of the squad.
If I'm a high school prospect and I see this team not only win on the floor, but I see this after the game, because Juwan, the best thing that he did all weekend wasn't win these games. It was the Cabbage Patch celebration. The Cabbage Patch, just like when he was your teammate. If I'm in high school, I'm playing for this team. I'm playing for this team. I am.
He got footage of him doing that with the Miami Heat when they won the championship too. You got to get that up there. And the thing I appreciate about Juwan, though, like, he's a terrific leader, and he's gotten his team to buy in, and this is going to be an exciting season to watch.
Conor McGregor will return to the octagon in early 2020. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving for now.
All right, we'll keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
We have a LaMelo Ball update.
Hit the brakes.
Okay, my guy, my number 1 pick, LaMelo Ball, has had back-to-back triple-doubles against grown men in Australia. Now, critics will say that he shoots 25% from 3 and 37.5 from the floor. Does that deter you from thinking he's the number 1 pick in the NBA draft?
No, it doesn't deter me, because one thing you didn't mention is probably the thing that I love the most, that he's 6'7". That's what I like the most. And you see his court vision is awesome.
Yep.
But I appreciate the way he passes people open. That's how you get dimes, anticipation. And when I watch him play in an era of workout warriors, you could tell players like him and John Morant come to mind as guys that I could tell Dame Lillard that just played a lot of basketball growing up.
I love when you say this about people. That guy plays a lot of basketball.
Yeah.
You're watching John Morant, you're like, that guy plays a lot of basketball.
5-on-5, 3-on-3, 1-on-1.
Oh, yeah, LaMelo was at the Drew League all summer.
Yeah,
He plays a lot of basketball.
Correct,
that guy
exactly.
There's this video of him working out at 3 in the morning. I'm like, dog, get a good night's sleep. Work out at 7 in the morning, the same. It's all the same. Moving on. The Packers beat the Giants. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving.
We'll keep moving on that one.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Jalen, something happened in the NFL yesterday that has not happened all season long. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
You'll never believe this. The Bengals won a football game.
I did this for you.
They
So you go
won
ahead
a
and
football
cook.
game. Now, I've said this all year long that we do not disrespect the Bengals enough. The Jets disrespected the Bengals by this performance. Like, if you're the Jets, you got to win this game. And not only did they lose, they got beat bad by the Bengals. And the Bengals are like, they looked around the league. They're like, all right, everyone else got 2 wins. They're like, you know what? We'll get 1 win and we'll still get the number 1 pick. But is the Gatorade bath at the end a soft move or a boss move?
That's a boss move. You got to
Boss
celebrate
move?
everybody's hard work.
People don't celebrate enough. Jalen Rose, we will preview the huge NFC matchup between the Seahawks and the Vikings right after this. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. Jalen, we have a competition for Jalen of the Week. There are so many Jalen's in sports now that we have 2 candidates for Jalen of the Week this week. The first, Jalen Waddle. While Alabama lost in the Iron Bowl, it had nothing to do with his performance. He caught for 3 touchdowns and ran back a kick for a touchdown. That's one candidate for Jalen of the Week, but not to be outdone is this man, Jalen Hurts, who threw for a touchdown, ran for a touchdown, as you see right there, and caught a touchdown in a win over rival Oklahoma State. Jalen Rose,
Yes,
who
sir.
is the Jalen of the Week? Jalen Waddle or Jalen
So
Hurts?
I appreciate, as always, the Jalen's showing versatility that's unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a quarterback catching 1, a receiver catching 3, running a kickoff back for 1. And you know how much I love kickoffs. He ran a punt back recently. By the way, Jalen Waddle, when he come out a year or so from now, he's going to be a candidate to be the number 1 receiver taken.
Really?
Remember I said this on this program.
He proved it on Saturday.
As it relates to Jalen Hurt. Now, going to Oklahoma, following a couple of Heisman Trophy winners, we talk so much about so many people, Trevor Lawrence, so many quarterbacks. He's going to be in New York City. He's got a great chance of winning this year's Heisman. He won the game, Waddle lost, but Waddle had 4 touchdowns.
Thank you.
He gets the nod.
Clearly, it's Jalen Waddle. Clearly, it's Jalen Waddle. I mean, it's not, again, I always say it's not what you do, it's how you do it. He had a couple of those catches for touchdowns. It was like, they were just the quarterback's like, yeah, Jalen Waddle's out there. This will work.
And you know how much I love kickoff returns.
I know you do. I know you do. Too bad they're going to be phased out of football in about 4 years. I guarantee it. So, we have a really big game on Monday night this week. A really big game. The Minnesota Vikings, who you and I we've been saying they're one of the best teams in the NFC.
They slept on.
Everyone else is starting to catch up to that. They're 8-3, but they're playing in Seattle against the Seahawks without Adam Thielen. Jalen Rose, how can the Vikings pull off an upset in Seattle?
Let me make sure I say this into a microphone. Kirk Cousins has been having a better season than Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
That's fair. That's fair. He had a couple bumps in the road along there, but Aaron Rodgers has as well. We remember that game in LA against the Chargers.
Yeah, exactly. No Thielen tonight for the Vikings, but Clowney returns for Seattle. And they're playing at home. Russell Wilson, he saw what Lamar did yesterday. He saw what Mahomes did yesterday. He saw what Watson did yesterday. And it's the big stage. I'm going with him at home and the Seahawks.
I think the Seahawks are going to win. The only way the Vikings can win is a huge day from Dalvin Cook. Just a huge day from Dalvin Cook.
Love
If they can get a lead and then they can just work Dalvin Cook and just somehow sort of like turn this into a 2-score game early, I think that's the only way that the Vikings do it. But Seahawks are making a case right now. The Seahawks are really making a case. They really are, especially after that game against San Francisco. This is going to be one of the best Monday Night Football. I might stay up for the whole thing, Jay. I might stay up for the fourth quarter.
Wow.
I might drink a cup of coffee at halftime.
Whoa.
Just trying to get there.
Wow.
I want to thank everybody that calls in, 985-80-JALEN. Make sure you call that number. Leave us a voicemail for the pod exclusive. We'll be back tomorrow, ESPN 2 at 2. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. And Jalen, we didn't get a chance to mention it, but did the Lions win on Thanksgiving?
Meow.
Did they win on Thanksgiving?
I got to bow down and pay homage to the Ohio State University.
We'll be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. ESPN 2.